You don't belong here. This boardroom isn't for people like you. The words slice through the mahogany-scented air of Technova Corp's 42nd floor boardroom. Marcus Thompson stands at the head of the polished table, his reflection multiplied 12 times in the glasses of water untouched before each board member. Richard Whitmore, chairman of the board, doesn't bother hiding the contempt that curls his thin lips. His pale fingers drum against the leather portfolio containing Marcus's termination papers. The other 11 board members avoid eye contact, their silence as deliberate as a held breath before a guillotine falls. Marcus's hand finds the USB drive in his pocket, its edges worn smooth from months of waiting. The morning sun casts long shadows across the conference table, dividing the room into territories of light and dark. In 3 minutes, they plan to fire the only black CEO in the company's 70-year history. In 3 hours, their company will cease to exist. But in this moment, suspended between accusation and action, Marcus allows himself the smallest smile. They think they're ending his story. They have no idea they're writing their own obituary. Where are you watching from? Comment below and let me know your country. But they don't know that at this very moment, the countdown has already begun. 3 years earlier, Marcus Thompson's shoes echo against the marble lobby of Technova Corp. The security guard checks his ID twice, then calls upstairs to verify. New CFO, Marcus says, though his Goldman Sachs credentials should speak louder than his voice ever needs to. The guard nods slowly, eyes lingering on Marcus's tailored suit as if searching for proof it belongs on his body. The elevator ride to the 35th floor takes 57 seconds. Marcus counts each one, already documenting. His assistant, Janet, a woman in her 50s with horn-rimmed glasses, stands outside his office holding a coffee mug instead of his office keys. "Oh?" she says, her surprise poorly masked. "I wasn't expecting. Welcome, Mr. Thompson. Facilities hasn't processed your key card yet." Unusual for executive level. The pause before unusual stretches like pulled taffy. Marcus accepts the coffee he didn't ask for and makes his first note in the black leather journal he'll carry for the next 3 years. Within 48 hours, the whispers start. Someone CCs him accidentally on an email chain where Brad from Acquisitions wonders if they're lowering the bar for diversity quotas. Another suggests Marcus probably knows basketball stats better than market analytics. Delete, forward to personal email document. His first board meeting arrives like a test he's been studying for his entire life. Marcus presents his restructuring plan for the Asian markets, projecting 34% growth over 18 months. Richard Whitmore interrupts him 7 times. "Slow down, Marcus. We need to understand what you're saying." The condescension drips like honey from a poisoned comb. "Perhaps you could simplify your presentation style?" Board member Patricia Chen, the only Asian American at the table, shifts uncomfortably, but says nothing. Her silence costs more than words ever could. Marcus discovers Klaus 47 on a rain-soaked Thursday while reviewing corporate bylaws that no one expects him to read. Buried on page 247, the founder's provision for minority shareholder protection glows like neon in darkness. Any shareholder controlling 15% of voting shares can veto major decisions, including executive terminations, without cause. The law firm of Chen Worthington and Associates drafted this clause in 1953 to protect family interests. They never imagined it would protect something else entirely. Marcus photographs the page with his personal phone. That night, he makes his first call to Seoul. Min Jung Park answers on the second ring. They speak for 3 hours about opportunity, about patience, about the long game that America's corporate boardrooms never see coming. "Send me everything," she says. "We have been waiting for someone like you." The microaggressions pile up like unmarked graves. The lunch meetings scheduled at steakhouses when everyone knows he's vegetarian. The black tie optional events where he's the only one told it's actually mandatory. The office Christmas party where Richard Whitmore, 3 bourbons deep, jokes about Marcus being so articulate and one of the good ones. Each slight, each cut, each moment of disrespect gets cataloged in the black journal. Evidence, ammunition, patience. That evening, Marcus places a call that will change everything. To Seoul. 6 months into his role as CEO, Marcus stands before the quarterly review board presenting the best numbers Technova has seen in a decade. Revenue up 47%. Market share expanded in 17 territories. Employee satisfaction at an all-time high. The projector casts his achievements in stark relief against the white wall, irrefutable in their success. Richard Whitmore leans back in his chair, the leather creaking under his shifting weight. "These numbers," he says, letting the words hover like smoke. "They seem inflated. Perhaps you don't understand our traditional accounting standards here at Technova." The temperature in the room drops 10 degrees. Marcus watches Patricia Chen study her manicured nails as if they contain corporate secrets. Board member Harrison Wells, whose son failed to get the CEO position, smirks behind his water glass. "I can walk you through each metric," Marcus offers, his voice steady as a heartbeat. "Starting with our Asia-Pacific expansion, which exceeded projections by..." Whitmore raises his hand like a traffic cop. "That won't be necessary. We'll have our internal team verify these ambitious claims." The word ambitious lands like a slap wrapped in silk. Marcus catches the eye roll between Wells and board member Catherine Price. They've already decided his success is a lie before he can prove its truth. The meeting continues for another hour, each of Marcus's victories dissected until they resemble failures, each achievement questioned until it sounds like luck. When he mentions the partnership with Samsung he personally negotiated, Whitmore actually laughs. "I'm sure they were impressed by your unique perspective." After the meeting, Marcus lingers by the coffee machine outside the boardroom. The door hasn't fully closed, and voices carry through the crack like smoke through a keyhole. "He's getting too ambitious," Whitmore says. "The investors are starting to ask questions about why he's succeeding where Brennan failed." Catherine Price responds, "Can't have him making us look incompetent." "Time to clip his wings," Wells adds, "before he thinks he actually belongs here." Marcus records everything on his phone, the coffee growing cold in his untouched cup. That afternoon, he sends a formal memo to legal and the board, warning about potential regulatory risks in Whitmore Industries' parallel dealings. The subject line reads, "Urgent. Compliance concerns requiring immediate review." He BCCs his personal lawyer and Minjun Park. The response comes 3 hours later from legal, copying all board members. "Your concerns have been noted and filed accordingly." The dismissiveness of "filed accordingly" tells Marcus everything he needs to know. The next morning, Marcus finds his reserved parking spot occupied by a maintenance van. Security claims it's a system error. He parks in visitor parking and makes another note in his black journal. The small humiliations are adding up to something larger. That evening, Patricia Chen stops by his office. She closes the door but doesn't sit. "Marcus?" she says, her voice barely above a whisper. "Be careful. They've done this before." She leaves before he can ask questions, but her warning hangs in the air like perfume. Marcus pulls up Technova's executive history. In 70 years, they've had 2 female CEOs, 1 Latino CFO. None lasted more than 18 months. All left to pursue other opportunities. The pattern is as clear as blood on snow. Email reply from legal. "Your concerns have been noted and filed accordingly." The corporate retreat in Aspen should be a celebration of Technova's record-breaking year. Marcus flies commercial while the board takes the company jet. "Booking error," Janet explains, not meeting his eyes. "The Ritz-Carlton has no reservation under his name." "But I'm the CEO," Marcus tells the desk clerk, who looks appropriately mortified. "I see your name on our VIP list, sir, but no room assignment." Richard Whitmore appears in the lobby, ski gear over his arm, fake concern painted on his wind-burned face. "Marcus, what's this about? Don't tell me someone forgot to book your room?" His performance deserves an Oscar. They find Marcus a room, a standard with a view of the parking lot while the board members enjoy penthouses. "At least you made it," Whitmore says, clapping Marcus's shoulder hard enough to bruise. The welcome dinner becomes a masterclass in corporate humiliation. Marcus's nameplate sits at a table with junior analysts and interns, 12 tables away from the board's circular setup. The intern next to him, a 22-year-old named Tyler, looks mortified. "Sir, I think there's been a mistake. You should be—" Marcus cuts him off gently. "I'm exactly where they want me to be." He spends dinner listening to the intern's ideas, their energy untainted by corporate poison. From across the ballroom, he catches board members glancing over, whispering, laughing. Let them laugh. Whitmore stands for a toast, his voice carrying over the clinking glasses. "To Technova's continued success and to our diversity initiatives." He pauses, letting his eyes find Marcus, however misguided they may be. The laughter that follows sounds rehearsed, cruel, permissive. The next day's team-building exercises are designed to break spirits, not build them. The trust fall exercise arrives with inevitable cruelty. Marcus stands on the platform, arms crossed over his chest, staring down at the board members who are supposed to catch him. He knows before he falls that they'll step aside. The fall isn't far, maybe 4 feet, but the impact rattles his bones and their laughter rattles something deeper. "Guess we need to work on our trust," Wells says, not offering a hand up. Marcus rises on his own, brushing dirt from his clothes. "Trust is earned," he responds. "So is betrayal." The afternoon session includes a ropes course. Marcus's harness is accidentally given to someone else. His safety equipment is misplaced. He sits out, using the time to review documents on his phone. That's when he finds it. A junior analyst accidentally shared the wrong folder. Internal board communications about Project Clean Slate. His name appears 17 times. Phase out MT within 6 months. Gradual marginalization recommended. Prepare narrative for investors. Diversity experiment conclusion. Marcus screenshots everything, forwarding to 3 separate secure servers. His hands don't shake, but his resolve hardens into something diamond-sharp. That evening, while the board members drink aged whiskey in the lodge bar, Marcus calls his personal attorney. "I need you to review every acquisition, every merger, every deal Whitmore has touched in the past 5 years." The lawyer doesn't ask why. He's seen this playbook before. In the midst of board members getting drunk at the bar, Marcus receives a text. "Sold deal confirmed. 2.3 billion. Ready." The aspen moon hangs like a spotlight over the resort's snow-covered peaks. Marcus stands alone on the executive floor balcony, the cold biting through his wool coat. Below, he can hear the board's laughter echoing from the bar, their voices blurred by alcohol and arrogance. The city lights of Denver glow in the distance, but up here, he's surrounded by the kind of darkness that clarifies everything. His father worked as a janitor for 43 years, cleaning offices for men who never learned his name. Died at his desk, a janitor's closet desk, filling out a loan application for a business he'd never open. The loan officer's rejection letter arrived 3 days after the funeral. Insufficient collateral. Marcus keeps that letter in his wallet, folded behind his black card. A reminder. His phone vibrates. Min Jung Park's number appears like a lifeline. "Marcus, it's 3 p.m. here in Seoul. Perfect time for clarity." Her voice carries the confidence of someone who's built an empire from skepticism. "Tell me about their latest insult." Marcus recounts the trust fall, the housing error, the placement at the children's table. Each word tastes like battery acid. "They want me to quit. Make it easy for them." Min Jung's laugh is sharp as winter wind. "American boards always think so small. They see a chess game. We see go. How many stones have you placed?" Marcus tells her about Klaus 47, about his careful accumulation of shares through 47 shell companies, about reaching 14.7% ownership. "I need 0.4% more to hit 15%. Then I can block any board action." "And then?" she asks. Then we execute the Soul strategy. They've been planning this for 2 years. Coratech needs entry into the American market. Technova's subsidiaries hold the keys, patents, infrastructure, distribution networks. But more importantly, they hold something Whitmore never bothered to understand: the future. The 3 subsidiaries we discussed, Minjung continues, they contain 73% of Technova's intellectual property. Your board was too busy playing politics to notice they structured the deals poorly. We can acquire them without board approval. Marcus pulls up the contracts on his tablet. There it is, buried in subsection 47C of each subsidiary's charter. Independent sale authorization under specific conditions. Conditions that Marcus, as CEO, can create. They gave me the knife, he says. Now I just have to decide where to cut. 48 hours, Minjung says. When you give the signal, we move. 2.3 billion is ready. My board is eager to see American corporate arrogance humbled. Marcus thinks about his father's calloused hands, about every brilliant black executive driven out by boards like this one, about Patricia Chen's whispered warning. This isn't revenge, it's revolution. Minjung, when this happens, I want guarantees. 40% diverse leadership in the new structure, mentorship programs, real change, not cosmetic. Already drafted, she responds. We've been waiting for someone like you, Marcus. Someone who understands that the best revenge isn't loud, it's systematic. Marcus ends the call and remains on the balcony. Below, Whitmore stumbles out of the bar, held up by Wells. They're laughing about something, probably him. Let them laugh. In 48 hours, he'll own enough of Technova to turn their termination meeting into their funeral. He opens his black journal and writes, "Power isn't about breaking the system. It's about knowing which wires to cut." The moon witnesses his vow. Not one shout, not one scandal. Just the quiet dismantling of everything they built on the backs of people like his father. He texts his broker, "Execute the final purchases at market open Monday." The response comes immediately. Confirmed. You'll hit 15.1% by 9:47 a.m. 48 hours until the board meeting. Marcus will own exactly 15.1%. Monday morning arrives wrapped in false normalcy. The board meeting is scheduled for 10 a.m., but Richard Whitmore starts his performance at 9:55, ensuring everyone is seated before Marcus arrives. The CEO enters to find 12 faces arranged like a jury. Whitmore doesn't wait for pleasantries. "Marcus, we need to discuss your leadership capacity." The words are rehearsed, each syllable practiced in whatever secret meeting spawned this ambush. Papers fan across the table. Performance reviews that didn't exist yesterday. Concern letters from anonymous employees. Metrics twisted until success looks like failure. Your communication style doesn't align with Technova culture, Catherine Price reads from her prepared notes. Multiple stakeholders have expressed discomfort with your aggressive growth strategies. Aggressive? Marcus remains standing, refusing to sit in the defendant's chair they've prepared. You mean successful? Harrison Wells jumps in, relishing his moment. There's also the matter of your attitude. The incident at Aspen showed a concerning lack of team cohesion. They're painting him as the angry black man, the narrative as old as corporate America itself. Be excellent, but not too excellent. Be confident, but not uppity. Marcus has played this game before, but today he's changing the rules. I see you've prepared termination paperwork, he observes, nodding at the stack by Whitmore's elbow. Very thorough. General Counsel Sarah Blackstone, usually silent as furniture, clears her throat. We've prepared a generous severance package. 6-month salary, full vesting of your options, and a glowing recommendation. Her tone suggests she's doing him a favor, saving him from something worse. 5 board members already have their hands raised for the termination vote. They couldn't wait to pull this trigger. Patricia Chen stares at her clasped hands. Board member Michael Torres looks genuinely uncomfortable, but won't risk his position for principles. The others wear expressions ranging from smugness to studied neutrality. Marcus checks his phone, 10:17 a.m.ing. Any moment now. Before you vote, Marcus says, his voice cutting through their eagerness, you might want to hear from David in finance. As if summoned, the CFO burst through the boardroom doors, face flushed, tablet clutched like a life preserver. Sir, we have a situation. Coratech just announced the acquisition of 3 of our subsidiaries. The deal closed 10 minutes ago. The room erupts. Whitmore's face cycles through confusion, rage, and fear in 3 seconds. What subsidiaries? How is that possible? David's hands shake as he reads, Novatech Patents, Innova Systems, and Quantum Solutions. Combined value, $2.3 billion. They're taking our entire IP portfolio. Papers scatter as board members grab phones, shouting at assistants, demanding explanations. Whitmore slams his palm on the table. Block this deal immediately. But Marcus remains calm, a still point in their chaos. You can't. I structured those subsidiaries myself. They have independent sale authority under specific conditions. The blood drains from Whitmore's face as understanding dawns. Whitmore turns pale. How did they block this deal immediately? You knew about this. Whitmore's accusation cuts through the pandemonium. His finger points at Marcus like a weapon, trembling with rage that's finally found its target. The boardroom has devolved into corporate chaos. 12 executives shouting over each other, phones ringing, tablets pinging with alerts from panicked investors. The stock ticker on the wall shows Technova dropping in real time. 12%, 15%, 18%. Each percentage point represents millions in market value, evaporating like morning mist. Sarah Blackstone pounds the table for order. Everyone, please, legal needs to review. But Whitmore isn't finished. You orchestrated this. You've been planning this. His voice cracks with something between fury and fear. Marcus pulls out his phone with theatrical calm, scrolling through emails. January 15th. Memo regarding IP portfolio vulnerabilities. February 3rd. Comprehensive risk assessment of subsidiary structures. March 22nd. Urgent recommendation to restructure before hostile acquisition. He looks up, meeting each board member's eyes. 17 memos in total, all marked urgent, all ignored. His voice carries the weight of prophecy fulfilled. Every warning dismissed because it came from someone who doesn't understand our culture. Catherine Price's face has gone gray. Those subsidiaries? They have our autonomous driving patents, the AI frameworks, everything. The magnitude of loss begins settling over the room like ash from a distant fire. Wells stammers, but the board never approved any sale. The board doesn't need to, Marcus responds. You gave me full authority over subsidiaries under $50 billion in individual value. It's in my contract, the one you didn't think I'd read carefully. The conference phone explodes with voices. Institutional investors demanding explanations, reporters seeking comments, lawyers threatening litigation. Whitmore mutes them all with shaking hands. You've destroyed this company. You've destroyed everything we built. The accusation hangs between them, heavy with decades of entitlement. No, Marcus says quietly. I've revealed what you built. A house of cards held together by bias and protected by privilege. I just showed the world how fragile that really is. Patricia Chen finally speaks, her voice cutting through the noise. Richard, we need to table the termination vote. We need Marcus to navigate this crisis. It's not support, it's survival instinct. But Whitmore's pride won't bend. Table nothing. He's finished here. The stock price hits 25%. Someone's assistant runs in with printed emails. Shareholders calling for an emergency meeting. 3 major investors threatening to pull out entirely. The Bloomberg terminal flashes. Technova leadership crisis. CEO standoff threatens company's stability. Marcus watches it all with the detachment of a surgeon observing a necessary amputation. Should I pack my office now? He asks, voice steady as granite. Or after you finish voting? The question forces them to confront their priorities. Petty vengeance or corporate survival. The silence stretches until Patricia Chen rises from her chair, spine straight for the first time in years. Patricia Chen stands up. I motion to table the termination vote. You can't be serious. Whitmore's voice drops to a whisper more terrifying than any shout. His gaze fixes on Patricia Chen with the intensity of betrayal recognized. Sit down, Patricia. Now. But she remains standing, her small frame carrying unexpected steel. I second the motion to table, Michael Torres adds, surprising everyone, including himself. The board splits like a fault line, 6 for immediate termination, 6 for delay. Whitmore's carefully orchestrated execution has become a civil war. You weak-spilled cowards, he hisses. Do you know what happens if we show weakness now? If we let him dictate terms? Harrison Wells leans toward Patricia, his voice a serpent's whisper. Your husband's investment fund has significant exposure to Whitmore Industries. One phone call, and I'll make sure his investors know about your role in this situation. The threat lands like a slap, but Patricia doesn't flinch. Are you threatening me, Harrison? In front of witnesses? Should we add extortion to the list of today's failures? The room's attention snaps between them like a tennis match. Marcus pulls out his phone again, activating the recording app with deliberate visibility. For the record, I've been recording all board meetings for the past 6 months. Legal in this state, as our general counsel knows. Sarah Blackstone's face drains of color. She knows. They all know. Their casual racism, their orchestrated schemes, their threats, all preserved in digital amber. You recorded privileged communications? Whitmore sputters. I recorded potential evidence of discrimination and conspiracy. My attorneys advised it after the Aspen incident. The word attorneys, plural, hangs in the air. This isn't a lone wolf operation. Marcus has been building an army. The Bloomberg terminal updates. Breaking. Major institutional investors call for Technova emergency shareholder meeting. Board leadership questioned. Someone's phone rings. CNBC wants a statement. Another ring. The Wall Street Journal has questions about internal leadership disputes. The rings multiply into a symphony of corporate disaster. Through the glass walls, employees gather in clusters, watching their leadership tear itself apart. Someone films on their phone. By tomorrow, this will be viral. Motion to table fails, Whitmore declares, though the tie means no such thing. I'm calling for immediate termination, but the 6 supporting board members look less certain now. Their phones show personal portfolio losses in the millions. Supporting Whitmore is becoming expensive. I have something you all need to see. Marcus reaches into his jacket pocket, producing a USB drive that gleams under the fluorescent lights. The small device seems to pulse with potential energy. Before you vote on anything, you should know what's on this. Whitmore lunges forward, as if to grab it, but Marcus steps back. Security, Whitmore shouts. 2 guards appear at the door, uncertain who they're supposed to restrain. The CO or the chairman? The very question illustrates how far the power has shifted. Marcus addresses them calmly. Gentlemen, please stay. You'll want to witness what happens next. He moves toward the presentation screen, USB drive extended like a key to Pandora's box. Marcus pulls out USB from pocket. I have something you all need to see. The conference room screen flickers to life, and Richard Whitmore's face fills the frame. Pixelated but unmistakable. The timestamp reads 8 months ago, 11:47 p.m., the location tagged as Whitmore's private club. 4 other board members cluster around him. Wells, Price, Blackstone, and, surprisingly, Patricia Chen's husband, Jonathan Chen. Their voices carry the loose confidence of alcohol and assumed privacy. The diversity hire is exceeding expectations, Whitmore says, using air quotes around diversity hire. Can't have that. Bad for optics if he outperforms Brennan's legacy. Wells laughs, the sound ugly as breaking glass. What's the play? Another Hernandez situation? The reference chills the room. Carlos Hernandez, the Latino CFO who left under a cloud of manufactured scandal 3 years ago. Better. Whitmore continues. We let him build value, then use him as the fall guy for the offshore arrangements, pin the Cayman accounts on him, say he was skimming. Classic ambitious minority overreach story. The media writes itself. Catherine Price raises her champagne. The black CEO who got too greedy. Perfect. They toast to Marcus's planned destruction, their glasses catching light like guilty stars. The video continues, each word a nail in their professional coffins. We'll need about $2 billion moved through the subsidiaries first, Blackstone adds. Make it look like his pet projects. When the SEC investigates, we express shock, promise full cooperation, and emerge looking like victims of his scheme. Marcus pauses the video. The boardroom has become a tomb, silent except for the hum of air conditioning and the sound of reputations dying. I became a whistleblower 10 months ago, he announces. Every document, every transaction, every conspiracy. Delivered to the SEC, FBI and Justice Department. He clicks again. Email threads appear, showing the paper trail of $2 billion in insider trading, market manipulation, and tax evasion. Whitmore Industries' entire shadow structure laid bare. You thought you were setting me up. Instead, you documented your own crimes. The door bursts open. FBI agents file in with the precision of a practiced operation. Richard Whitmore, you're under arrest for securities fraud, conspiracy, and racketeering. The handcuffs click like punctuation marks. Wells tries to run, making it 3 steps before an agent blocks him. Price faints, caught by an agent who seems prepared for this reaction. Blackstone begins crying, mascara running like black rivers. I have immunity, she shouts. I'll testify. But Marcus shakes his head. No deals. I provided everything they need. More agents arrive, reading rights, collecting phones, sealing documents. The entire boardroom becomes a crime scene. Patricia Chen sits frozen, tears streaming. My husband? Marcus's expression softens slightly. He's being arrested at his office. I'm sorry, Patricia, you tried to warn me. Through it all, Whitmore stares at Marcus with pure hatred. You destroyed everything. No, Marcus corrects. I revealed everything. You destroyed it yourself the day you decided I didn't belong. As the FBI leads out the conspirators, Marcus addresses the remaining board members, 6 shocked faces representing what's left of Technova's leadership. As CEO and now majority shareholder, yes, the final purchases cleared during this meeting, I'm calling for emergency restructuring. He pulls up a premature restructuring, prepared months ago. In 72 hours, Technova as you know it ceases to exist. In its place, Novatech Global, a joint venture with Coratech. New leadership, new values, new future. The stock ticker shows a strange reversal. As news of the arrests spreads, mysterious buyers push the price up. Investors betting on Marcus's vision over Whitmore's legacy. Anyone who stays reports to me. Anyone who leaves gets standard severance. But everyone, his gaze sweeps the room, everyone will be held to the same standard. Performance, not privilege. Within 72 hours, Technova will cease to exist in its current form. 48 hours later, Marcus stands before a packed press conference in Technova's, now Novatech Global's, auditorium. Cameras from every major network train on him like eager pupils. The backdrop displays the new logo, a fusion of Eastern and Western design elements, representing the first truly global tech partnership of its scale. Minjung Park stands beside him, her presence commanding equal attention. Today marks not an ending, but a transformation, Marcus begins, his voice carrying the authority of vindication. Novatech Global launches with a combined valuation of $47 billion, making it the 3rd largest tech conglomerate in the world. Reporters' fingers fly across keyboards, capturing history in real time. Our first initiative, Min Jung announces, is the Thompson Foundation, named for Marcus's father, a $500 million fund exclusively for startups led by underrepresented founders. The room erupts with questions, but Marcus raises a hand. We're also implementing the 40-40-20 rule. 40% of leadership positions for women, 40% for ethnic minorities, 20% overlap encouraged. This isn't charity. It's recognizing that diversity drives innovation. The stock price climbs throughout the announcement, plus 34%, plus 45%, plus 67%. Every percentage point represents validation of a simple truth. Inclusion is profitable. A reporter from the Financial Times stands. Mr. Thompson, critics say this is reverse discrimination. Marcus's smile could cut glass. For 70 years, Technova had 100% white male leadership. No one called that discrimination. We're not reversing anything, we're balancing it. The ripple effects begin immediately. Within hours, Ford announces a diversity review. Apple accelerates its inclusion initiatives. Google calls an emergency board meeting. The old guard's playbook burns in real time, replaced by Marcus's new rules. 6 Fortune 500 companies announce black CEOs within the month. Executives who were somehow overlooked before. Patricia Chen, the sole board member who showed backbone, albeit late, becomes CEO of Technova's American division. Redemption is possible, Marcus told her privately, but it requires action, not just regret. She accepts the challenge, knowing her husband's crimes will shadow every success. But this is bigger than one company, Marcus continues at the presser. We're publishing the Marcus Protocols, a free open-source guide to identifying and dismantling systemic bias in corporate structures. Every dirty trick, every glass ceiling, every old boys network technique exposed and countered. Minjon adds, Cortec is implementing these protocols across our Asian operations. This is a global movement. The questions continue for 2 hours. Marcus answers each with precision, turning sound bites into manifestos. When asked about Whitmore, he simply says, he's facing justice. That's more than his victims ever got. The final question comes from a young black reporter. What would your father think? Marcus pauses, touching the folded loan rejection letter in his pocket. He'd say the work isn't done, but it's begun. But this is just the beginning of the complete collapse. Week 1, after the announcement, brings an avalanche of consequences. The SEC freezes Whitmore Industries' assets, all $43 billion across 17 shell companies. Federal agents raid offices from New York to San Francisco, carting out boxes of evidence that tell 7 decades of corporate malfeasance. Richard Whitmore's estate in the Hamptons becomes a crime scene. Investigators finding hidden servers containing records of bribes, blackmail, and decades of orchestrated discrimination. By week 2, the investigation expands like a virus. 47 companies connected to Whitmore's network receive subpoenas. The FBI terms it Operation Glass Ceiling, and the name sticks. CEOs who attended Whitmore's private club find themselves answering uncomfortable questions about offshore accounts and gentlemen's agreements to exclude undesirable candidates. Week 3 brings the family drama. Whitmore's wife, Eleanor, files for divorce and turns state's evidence. Her lawyer produces 12 offshore accounts her husband never disclosed, containing money stolen from company pension funds. He called it his insurance against the minorities, she tells investigators, her Boston Brahmin accent making the words even uglier. The media feast on every revelation. By month 2, Operation Glass Ceiling has arrested 127 executives across multiple industries. The domino effect reaches internationally. Companies in London, Tokyo, and Frankfurt scramble to distance themselves from their American partners. The global market loses $2.7 trillion in value, mostly from companies with pending discrimination lawsuits. It's being called the inclusion recession, though economists note it's more accurately a corruption correction. Marcus's chess moves reveal their brilliance in hindsight. Every subsidiary deal included poison pill clauses. If the parent company faced criminal investigation, assets automatically transferred to protect shareholders. The board's attempt to fire him without cause triggered bankruptcy provisions they never read. He spent 2 years building a network of white knight investors, all ready to rebuild from the ashes. The Thompson Whistleblower Fund launches with pro bono legal support for employees reporting discrimination. Within 6 months, it receives over 10,000 submissions. Each one represents a career destroyed, a dream deferred, a brilliant mind wasted because of skin color or gender or accent. The bankruptcies cascade like dominoes. 14 companies in Whitmore's network file for Chapter 11. 50,000 jobs evaporate, but Marcus's recovery fund, prepared years in advance, rehires 80% into new ventures with diverse leadership. It's creative destruction with a conscience. Old companies die, but better ones are born from their ashes. The headquarters of Whitmore Industries, once a monument to exclusion, becomes a training center for minority entrepreneurs. Marcus personally funds the renovation, ensuring Whitmore's corner office becomes a child care center. Power changes hands, he tells the opening ceremony audience, but justice changes systems. On March 12th, Whitmore stands trial, facing 73 charges. The federal courthouse in Lower Manhattan becomes a circus of justice. Richard Whitmore, once emperor of boardrooms, shuffles into court in orange coveralls that match nothing in his former wardrobe. His attorneys, 3 of them, costing $2,000 per hour each, can't hide what everyone sees. A man stripped of the privilege that was his only real power. Marcus takes the stand on day 3. For 7 hours, he methodically presents 2,000 pages of evidence. Email threads stretching back decades, recorded conversations capturing casual cruelty, financial documents showing how discrimination wasn't just cultural, it was profitable. Exhibit 447, the prosecutor announces. It's the loan rejection letter that killed Marcus's father's dreams. Whitmore's signature sprawls across the bottom. The courtroom gasps. This is personal history becoming legal evidence. Hell wasn't just denying loans to black applicants, Marcus testifies, voice steady as granite. He was trading them, bundling rejected loan applications from minorities and selling the data to predatory lenders. They called it the reject pool. Profits exceeded $300 million over 20 years. The jury, 7 people of color, 3 women, 2 white men, takes notes with the intensity of students preparing for the most important test of their lives. When the prosecutor asks Marcus about his motivations, he stands silent for 17 seconds. The courtroom holds its breath. Revenge implies emotion, he finally says. This was revelation. They operated in darkness. I simply turned on the lights. 17 other CEOs take plea deals to testify against Whitmore. They detail the Platinum Network, an informal arrangement where companies would hire and quickly fire minority executives to claim diversity efforts while maintaining white leadership. Musical chairs, one testifies, except the music never really stopped, and the chairs were never really available. The jury deliberates for 4 hours. Guilty on all 73 counts. The sentence, 45 years without parole. Whitmore, 71 years old, will die in prison. As they lead him away, he turns to Marcus. You destroyed everything, Marcus responds. I revealed everything. You destroyed yourself. The other defendants fare no better. Wells gets 30 years, Price, 25. Blackstone, who flipped early, still gets 15. In total, the Platinum Network trials result in 847 years of combined sentences. The victim impact statements last 3 days. Thousands of careers destroyed, documented in painful detail. Maria Gonzalez, rejected for CFO despite superior qualifications. They told me I wouldn't fit the culture. Now I know they meant I wouldn't fit their crime. James Park, fired after reporting discrimination. Whitmore personally called my next 3 employers. I couldn't work in finance for 5 years. Each story adds weight to justice. Marcus establishes the Thompson Justice Fund with his own money, ensuring every victim receives compensation. The final tally, $4.7 billion, distributed to those whose dreams were stolen. Money can't buy back time, he says at the fund's launch, but it can fund new dreams. But the real story begins with the new laws being passed. The Marcus laws pass Congress with bipartisan support. Discrimination has become too expensive to defend. The legislation mandates 40% diverse representation on all corporate boards within 5 years. Companies that fail face delisting from stock exchanges. The transparency requirements cut deeper. All companies must publish annual reports detailing pay gaps, promotion rates by demographics, and discrimination complaints. The whistleblower protections increase tenfold. Reporters can receive up to $100 million in rewards for exposing systemic bias. CEO personal liability extends to discrimination within their companies. I didn't know no longer serves as defense when patterns are obvious. The old boys network becomes a legal liability rather than career advantage. Europe adopts similar legislation within 6 months, calling it the Thompson Directives. Asian markets follow, with 7 countries implementing corporate governance reforms. Africa sees a reversal of brain drain as talented professionals return to economies suddenly valuing merit over melanin. Venture capital, once 93% white and male, transforms rapidly. Diverse founders receive 500% more funding in year 1 of the Marcus laws. The innovation explosion surprises no one except those who believed talent was limited to one demographic. MBA programs rewrite their curricula. Inclusive leadership becomes mandatory, not elective. Case studies of Whitmore's fall replace outdated models of successful corporate culture. Harvard Business School creates the Thompson Chair for Ethical Leadership, funded by tech companies eager to distance themselves from the past. The Marcus Legacy Foundation, endowed with $10 billion, becomes the largest education fund in history. It provides free education to underserved communities, but with a twist. Students must pledge to hire diversely in their future careers. Breaking cycles requires building new ones, Marcus explains. The annual Glass Ceiling Breaker Awards become more prestigious than Nobel Prizes in business. Winners aren't just successful, they've pulled others up with them. The first recipient, Patricia Chen, who transformed Technova's American division into a model of inclusive excellence. Her husband serves his sentence while she serves justice. Mentorship programs explode across industries. The foundation's Each One Teach 10 initiative creates a multiplication effect. Every beneficiary must mentor 10 others. Within 5 years, 1 million young professionals have guidance that previous generations never received. The ripple effects reach beyond business. Politics sees more diverse candidates. Science and technology fields report breakthrough innovations from previously excluded voices. Even Hollywood, that bastion of appearance-based discrimination, implements blind auditions and diverse writing rooms. The old guard doesn't disappear. It adapts or dies. Companies that embrace change thrive. Those that resist face bankruptcy, legal challenges, and public shame. The market has spoken. Discrimination is bad business. 5 years later, Marcus stands where it all began. The boardroom that once expelled Marcus Thompson now serves as the Thompson Museum of Corporate Equality. School groups tour daily, learning how power structures rise and fall. The table where 12 white men voted to destroy him displays the voting record under glass, their names preserved as warnings. Marcus stands at the window, watching the city below. His hair has grayed. Justice ages you differently than injustice, with dignity rather than bitterness. The portraits on the walls show whistleblowers, change-makers, and the forgotten geniuses whose contributions were stolen by lesser men with better connections. His father's photo hangs in the center, the lone rejection letter displayed beside it. Mr. Thompson? A young woman, maybe 22, stands in the doorway. She's part of the latest foundation cohort. Brilliant, driven, and exactly the kind of person Whitmore would have overlooked. My presentation is ready for the investors, Marcus smiles. Remember, you're not asking for permission to succeed. You're offering them the opportunity to join you. She nods, understanding flowing between them. This is how change perpetuates. One conversation, one opportunity, one broken barrier at a time. The museum's inscription, carved in marble where Whitmore's name once gleamed, reads, "Power isn't about the seat at the table, it's about rebuilding the table." Thousands photograph it daily, spreading the message across social media, corporate trainings, and dinner conversations. The statistics tell the victory. Fortune 500 minority CEOs increased from 1% to 34%. The pay gap narrowed by 78%. 17 million people found justice through the Marcus laws. But Marcus knows numbers don't capture the real change. The black girl in Detroit who sees a CEO that looks like her. The Latino engineer whose ideas finally get heard. The Asian woman whose leadership isn't questioned but celebrated. These are the true measures of revolution. "They told me I didn't belong," Marcus says to the camera crew filming his final interview. "They were right. I didn't belong in their broken system. None of us do. So, we built a better one." He looks directly into the lens, speaking to every viewer who's ever been dismissed, overlooked, or underestimated. The loudest revenge is success. The deepest revolution is systematic, and the greatest power is patience. The interview ends, but Marcus's message continues. In boardrooms worldwide, executives check their biases. In schools, children learn that excellence comes in every color. In homes, parents tell their children that barriers exist to be broken, not accepted. The museum guest book fills with thousands of entries. One stands out, written in shaky handwriting. "Thank you for proving my life wasn't wasted. A fellow janitor's daughter." Marcus reads it every morning, remembering why the fight matters. Have you ever faced injustice at work? Subscribe and share this video to spread the story. Comment. Silent power if you believe in change from within. The final shot shows Marcus leaving the museum at sunset. Tomorrow, he'll mentor new founders, review discrimination cases, and continue building the world his father deserved. But tonight, he goes home to the small apartment he's kept despite his billions. The one where his father's work uniform still hangs in the closet, cleaned and pressed, waiting for a world worthy of its dignity. Remember, silent warriors don't break glass ceilings, they dissolve them into sand. The revolution isn't coming, it's here, and it's hiring. What would you do in Marcus's position? Subscribe to see more stories of workplace justice.